Hi, this is Devin with Sinister Machine Works. This is CNC Shop Talk, Episode 1. I wanted to start the series to go over, different tools or processes of doing certain things, struggles of being a small CNC shop, everything from day-to-day life. You'll get ideas all over the internet. Some's great, some doesn't apply to you. This is just some stuff that I wanted to share, throughout different episodes that might help somebody. It's not going to be for everybody. Everybody's shop is different. Some people are a job shop. Some people make their own products. Whatever pertains to you, I hope it helps. In this episode, I'm going to talk about 3D printers. Does a 3D printer fit in a CNC shop? That's what I'm going to go over. If you're a job shop where a customer sends you a print for quote, you make the part, send it back to them. A CNC a shop like that might not utilize a 3D printer in it's the help to our daily operations. Whereas what I do, I make my own products and I help other people make their own products and develop stuff for them. So a 3D printer can be huge in that sense. We all know what it takes to model up a part, go through setup for print or to machine a part, the material it takes, the tooling, the time, all that to try to get your first part out. And when you're developing something, you can have many hours in it. Where if you're doing a 3D print, you can already have your model up and print it out. It might take an hour or 2 hours overnight. Depends on how complex it is. But something like this, to set up on a machine, print it, or to machine it, get your raw material and everything like that, you might have 3 or 4 hours. Where when you go to just after you get it modeled and 3D print it, while it's printing, you can be doing something else. You can be running production parts. It's just something, another tool that can help you along the way. I like it because when I come up with an idea for something, it might just be out of my head and I don't have anything to compare it to or test it on. So I like to design the product, do a quick 3D print, have a couple bucks in material, and try it, see if it works, see if I need to change something how I like it. I could be way off, and instead of spending hours programming CNC, setting it up, taking time away from running a production job, it's just a huge benefit for me and for people where you work with others on developing a product. If a customer comes to you with an idea, instead of going through machining everything, having it change, 4, 5, 6 revisions later, machining one every time, you could go and say 3D print something and be done. Or like, oh, I need to change the dimension here, I need to change O-ring groove size, my hole size is different. Just go change it quick in your model, 3D print it. It's huge benefit. And for the way 3D printers have come along over the years, they've went from pretty much a toy. I'm talking consumer grade 3D printers here, not commercial ones. they went from a toy to something that you can actually use and make parts, or if you needed to, or you might have 4 pieces of machine, aluminum, steel, whatever, and then you need a piece of plastic. You might be able to print it to complete assembly. So you're not having to send it out to get something formed, or blow molded, or anything of that sort. It In my eyes, it's a huge benefit, and for the little investment that you can have in a 3D printer, and the time it takes to start using one is just minimal. I started out. Let me look here. My first one was a Flash Forge. I bought it in 2018, and that was more of a toy. It was hard to get a good quality print. Prints would fail. You'd have to level the bed just right, or it wouldn't print right, or fail. Wouldn't stick, stuff like that. You went through a lot of hurdles to try to get something to print. My next one I bought was a Creality Ender 3 Pro. That was quite a bit better, but still super finicky. On that one, the only way I could get halfway decent prints was to use a glass bed, and then the glue stick method, just so my prints would stick, which was a hassle. And if you get frustrated with something like that, you just kind of abandon it. I probably used it a dozen times and just set it aside because of the hassle that I had to do with it. This last end of the year, I bought a Bamboo Labs. I got the A1 with the AMS, so I can print 4 colors at once, and it blew my mind how much better that was versus the Ender 3, or other ones in that price range. I think I have $400 in it, and that thing, you just print. It auto calibrates, auto levels the bed, calibrates the flow. You can load 4 colors in it, so you can do multicolor prints. Like if you want to, print out a part and put a label on it, or if you want different spots of that part, different colors for certain reasons. It's just as simple as can be. I highly recommend it, just for the ease of it. If you have all the time in the world, you can mess around with leveling your bed, stuff like that. But for a guy that's busy, trying to keep his shop going, trying to get customer stuff done, create new ideas, all that stuff, the Bamboo Labs is just so great in my eyes. It's, you hit print, and a couple hours later or next morning, go pull it off and see how your new product developed, or how it's going to work for you. There's other stuff that you can use a 3D printer for. On a lathe, I've used it to print liners. I would just print a round cylinder, a couple inches long, put an O-ring in there so that I can feed, a half-inch bar through my lathe without it having to buy a, $250 spindle liner. Or if you have some odd size, like, well, I'm never going to do 1/8 inch, so you never buy that spindle liner, but you get a job as 1/8 inch or whatever, so you hurry up and print a couple spindle liners so that you can do that job. It's huge. You're not waiting 2, 3, 4 days for a spindle liner to come, and the investment's minimal. So that's another great thing in a mill. If you're doing like a goofy vise setup, you can 3D print replacement vice jaws. So, if you don't have to hold something super hard, you could go and print some vice jaws up instead of, spending $25 on a set of vice jaws that you have to machine. There's just a lot of benefit for a 3D printer in certain shops. Full on production shop, you're probably never going to use one. Job shop, might use it a little bit, but it'll be pretty minimal. It'll be probably more of a toy. But if you're developing your own products, developing for other people, stuff like that, I think is a huge benefit and definitely worth the look at. So I'm gonna end this video here, just my ramblings of 3D printer. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you have any ideas for episodes, I'm all ears. I'm trying to think of a few different things to come up with and try to make episodes pretty regularly. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you like what you see, hit like, subscribe to the channel, whatever. Thanks, everyone.